Hey, apologies for the not cute background. I'm just working with lighting today, which I have very little of. I wanted to do a quick video today on something that I've been doing, which is intermittent fasting. I know this is kind of like a trendy thing, maybe it might be looked at, but it's actually already, even in my second week of it, really creating some super positive results for me that I'm really excited about and I wanted to share. Kyle has been into intermittent fasting for a really long time, and my take on it always was like, I don't want to lose weight. I feel fine how I'm eating. Like, why would I do that? It basically felt like, why would I starve myself? I'm already eating this amazing food. And I've eaten the same way for a long time. And just to give you a little bit of backstory, if you haven't seen my stuff, I generally my body has preferred to eat in certain ways, and I eat very intuitively and just do what my body tells me to do in general. So my body has kind of evolved over the last 10, 11 years of me doing raw vegan to eat a lot lighter, to eat very, very clean, and to do a lot of like juices and smoothies and salads. I started out doing raw vegan, like hating salads pretty early on because I would go out to eat and that's pretty much all I could eat. So I got really sick of them. So I would never made salads at home, and did a lot more like full on recipe cookbook types of meals. And as time has gone on, I have gotten further and further away from that, although I do those sometimes. But with this intermittent fasting, it's kind of evolved into just more along those lines for me, more of the juices and the smoothies than the really light eating, really, really clean eating, and integrating more salads too than I have in quite a while. So this is the reason I decided to try intermittent fasting. So it's kind of a series of things, but I did a gut panel last summer, and that just basically confirmed exactly what I was feeling and knew was already going on with me. So that was some liver stuff and not absorbing fats and probably some other nutrients in the food that I was eating. There were some other things too, but basically those were some things that I felt were going on and that needed to be addressed. So prior to that, I was kind of addressing that with like different kinds of foods, like supplementing with Udo's 369, which is great. I continue to do that. But I was still experiencing some things. So here's what I was experiencing. I had a feeling of, I don't know what to call it except for congestion in my body. I'm not talking about like sinus congestion. I'm talking about my body feeling like overstuffed and just congested. I don't know how else to say it. Just a feeling kind of in my torso, my stomach. Oh God, please ignore my eye bags. I stayed up reading way too late last night. And skin issues. My skin was really dry. I had been told a long time ago that by a natural doctor that it looked like my skin was not absorbing fats at that point. That continued to be true up until I started this intermittent fasting. So I was experiencing that. I was also experiencing for quite a while a somewhat minor but really annoying rash on like my hips mostly, and couldn't figure out, was this like ringworm? Was it some kind of candida thing? It was some kind of a something happening, right? And having to do with gut health. Because one of the biggest things I noticed was that everything would clear up. I would have no acne, I would have no rash, like everything would just clear up and brighten up if, ironically, I had been sick. For instance, I was sick a while ago. It's been a long time now, but I had I had strep throat. And so I wasn't able to eat. And I saw this repeated over several times going back years before this. But anytime I was not able to eat, like with the strep throat, everything else would clear up. It was amazing. I was just doing juices, and I would try to do a smoothie a day. So I was doing like very little food and all liquid food and all just very clean organic greens with no sugar for the most part. Maybe a banana in the smoothie, I think. But I would always notice this huge clearing up. So that was a huge clue to me that it was something around the food that I was eating. And I had already detoxed everything from my life that I could detox, basically, as far as laundry detergents and personal care products and water, all of that kind of thing. So, but I couldn't quite get that last little thing that was causing these like apparent to me gut health absorption sort of issues. So I watched a TED Talk, I will link it below, about women and intermittent fasting because my friend Kevin started intermittent fasting and was really, really loving it. So I don't know, it just somehow clicked for me. Kyle and I were talking about it. Kevin was talking about it. I watched this video for women, and it also addressed, like, the other thing that I was noticing was what my trainer friend at my gym calls mom fat. Like, since I had Vivi, I'm not overweight, but I have like belly fat. And I know that's indicative of generally like fat around the organs and things not good. So I really wanted to address that also from a vanity standpoint, but also from an internal health standpoint. So I noticed that the PA that did the TED Talk addressed that as well. And I just kind of started to like there were all these little things I started tuning into. So I decided to try it. And I will say that I'm not going to talk about right now like what exactly intermittent fasting is or why you would do it. I'm going to link another video under here from someone who I think did a really nice video on that. And I love her take on it. It's very much around intuitive eating and flexibility and doing what your body wants. So if you're interested in kind of just learning, if you're not sure what intermittent fasting is in general, I'll link that below because I'm not necessarily interested in talking about that right now. I just wanted to give you my personal experience with it. So those were kind of the little instigative hits that I got. And so I thought I'm going to try it. Okay, this is what I'm going to say. That my body was already pretty much telling me to do this. I knew that if I ate too late at night, I felt terrible in the morning. I knew that that wasn't giving my body time to rest and repair. It was just digesting all night. That was very clear to me. But I was sort of ignoring that. Not consistently, but I have known that for years. So I tended to already stop eating around 5 or 6, just because that's what my body requested of me. And that's fairly recent, but I had been doing that and just noticing it didn't feel good at all for me to eat around after about 5 o'clock at night. So my body was already somewhat kind of used to doing this to some degree, but I was really eating all day long. I was getting up in the morning, having the water with either lemon juice or apple cider vinegar. Then I was having a green juice. Then as soon as I got hungry, I was having a smoothie. After I got hungry from that being digested, I would have a heavier lunch, and then I would usually have a smoothie for dinner. And so there are parts in there that were just not working for me anymore that I needed to address. And intermittent fasting addressed all of those things. So basically, I just formalized it a little bit more and counted out my hours. So I do 16 hours in a fasting state. and 8 hours where I can eat during that time. But the thing I did during those 8 hours that's so different than what I was doing before is I'm eating either 2 or 3 meals. I try to do 3 meals because I don't want to really lose weight other than the mom fat. I want to maintain my weight and just address these other health issues, right? So I'm not really focused on like a weight loss regimen. I don't know. I'm really focused on eating really good organic, clean foods, primarily greens. I'm really eating how I was eating before, but I'm not snacking in between my meals. I just fell off the couch. My elbow did. So what I'm doing is I'm getting up, I'm eating starting around 10 or 11, and then I count out like 3 hours between each meal. I ate nothing between those meals except for water, which doesn't break the fast. And then I try to stop eating around 5 or 6. Now, sometimes that gets shifted one direction or the other, depending how my body's feeling, depending on what I've eaten before, depending on if I'm going to the gym or not. For instance, I generally feel like after the gym, I want to be eating, so I'll do a smoothie after the gym. So if I don't time that right, sometimes that's kind of in the middle. Sometimes I'm eating only 2 meals a day. It just depends on what my body feels like. But let me tell you, I feel fantastic. I had one day of feeling kind of hangry and really hungry and wanting to eat on that very first day. Just once. It was between my first and second meals. After that, I've had none of that. I don't feel, sometimes I'll hear my stomach growling, but I don't really want to eat. I don't necessarily feel the need to put food in my body. So I'm really just listening to that. And I'll tell you, I'm not getting super skinny. Like I'm not losing a ton of weight, but I have noticed that the mom fat is decreasing. The big thing, well, I'll tell you a smaller thing for me. Flexibility is insane because intermittent fasting will help you reduce inflammation, right? Which I'm already eating a diet that is fairly inflammation free, which is why I can have 2 badly herniated discs and have 0 pain, which is why I can work out whenever I want and feel great after, and I don't have stiffness. So cooked food equals inflammation. And for me, it's so clear. It doesn't really matter what it is. If I eat, I have been able in the past to eat like a hard-boiled egg and not have inflammation after it. But pretty much everything else I've experienced, I'll wake up, the joints will be stiff. I'll just be not as flexible. So eating raw vegan and doing intermittent fasting, I am insanely more flexible than I was. I'm not a super flexible person to start with, but I just noticed a massive difference. It's like there is nothing in between in my joints. Like there's nothing there. I feel the difference. I feel 0 inflammation. So that's been really cool. And I just noticed at the gym, I can really lean into different poses and movements where I couldn't before. I don't have any stiffness. I don't have any soreness. My energy level is insane. It was already really good, but I noticed, like, for instance, yesterday I was at the gym and I was doing on some exercises like double reps just because it felt so good and I had so much energy. And eventually I just had to leave the gym because I'd been there forever. I love being in the gym, but that's really nice. But the big one for me is that my skin is completely different. Like I can tell now that the absorption of the fats that I'm eating is now so much better, which means most likely the absorption of everything, all the nutrients I'm eating is so much better, which is really exciting to me because I'm eating a mass amount of amazing nutrients eating raw vegan food. I'm not killing any of the enzymes. I'm not reducing any of the protein by cooking, right? So I'm already eating this fantastic diet, and then doing this intermittent fasting where no snacking between meals, I think has been key for me because it was overtaxing all of my organs. And I wasn't able to absorb all this amazing stuff that I was eating. So my skin, my hands have always been dry. Like for as long as I can remember. The skin on my body also, but now it's like I have a different person's skin than I've ever had. Like I used to be so jealous of Kyle's feet. He has the nicest skin. And my feet are always like, poor Vivi got my feet. I get calluses and stuff that I have to deal with. But my hands, like all of my skin, but particularly I notice on my hands, and I'm not doing anything different. My nails are terrible right now. Nail salon was closed. I could do another video about nails. Very mixed feelings. But anyway, my hands are not dry at all. The skin is hard for me to describe the difference, but it's like a contiguous unit where it wasn't before. There was just this kind of tendency to for it to be not the protective layer that it should be, and it is now. It's really like my hands are soft. Like I said, I'm not doing like any extra lotion or oils or anything. It's just someone else's skin. I'm so happy. So that for me is one of the coolest things. But as far as what I'm eating, I'm really still eating I'm definitely still eating all raw vegan. I'm upping the water. I'm trying to do a lot of water in between meals. Like I said, nothing between meals as far as solid food or liquid food besides water. Tea also, although I haven't been making that lately. But I generally, my first meal is, I'll drink a little bit of water and then I'll make a green juice. I'll drink a fresh, big green juice. And then right after that, I'll do my smoothie. And then I'll go about my day for 3 hours or so. And then I will eat something for lunch. Generally, that is my heaviest meal still. So I'll make something yummy for lunch, or sometimes I'll just eat a container of hummus and have another smoothie. And then about 3 hours later, I will then just have another smoothie and sometimes another green juice for dinner too. I love the idea of and the experience of not having heavy food in my stomach when I go to bed. So I try to leave as many hours as possible. I also like to sit down and eat with Vivi, but I like to leave hours before I lay down and go to bed so that when my body is asleep, it's actually doing the amazing work of repair and restoring and recharging that it's meant to do. It's not spending all its time and energy on digesting my food. So I always like to eat light at night, and I like to eat early. Like I said, my favorite is ending around 5. And then I tend to go to bed pretty early though, which is generally between 9 and 11. Mostly because I don't know if Vivi's going to wake up during the night, and I like to have hours where I've slept before she does wake up in case I'm not able to go back to sleep. So that's kind of just some exciting stuff I wanted to tell you about and pass on. And let me know if you guys are doing this at all, if what you found. I plan to just keep doing it. It feels very natural to me. It's just sort of more or less a minor tweak from what I'd already been doing. So it wasn't a huge deal. I think if you're going to go from like standard American diet to like, in where you're eating all the time to pretty strict intermittent fasting, it might be problematic. For me, it was just kind of a natural like step into it. So I'd imagine, on the spectrum there, if you haven't had any experience doing that, or if you're eating very differently from that you'd want to maybe work into it. And the video that I'm going to link below talks a little bit about all of that. So I will put that in there. But thanks for listening. I hope this was helpful, and have a wonderful day.